if you're watching in France, how are we all doing? It's the selection table. It's Wednesday, the 23rd of April, 2025. We are 25% of the way through the AFL season, which is absolutely crazy to think. We are a week away from the worst day in human history, Liverpool winning the Premier League as well. So we've only got 7 days of normality before the dark ages are descending on us. But we've got 7 days until the world ends. And I've got an A team. It's like the Avengers this show to deliver us from the evil of the Red Peril. Joining me first in articulate background are one of our newest members of this entourage. He is the Jagger Smith of this group. The great man himself, financial extraordinaire, numbers guru, Mr. Nick Horsburgh, Horizon Finance. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, Pommy. G'day to everybody and all the viewers in France today. It's been a better week coming off the back of a big win. I've been feeling a lot happier and according to my staff, I'm a lot more tolerable this week. And I haven't told them that, my mental health is in check according to how Carlton go. So here we are.
Do you find, Nick, that genuinely if Carlton lose, you are just more of a twat to people?
I'm a fucking prick, man. I'm hopeless. I'm moody. I'm sad. It takes me 4 or 5 coffees on a Monday just to even contemplate doing shit for other people. I curse and I look at my whiteboard and I scrap it and I pick a team that's going to win. And I can really be doing better things with my time.
Mate, I love it. I love it. And if we are talking about emotional roller coasters when Carlton win or lose, we have got a man that makes the Libra scales a real thing. My good mate in real life, your good mate online, a man that is an absolute genius at Supercoach. If you go to the far reaches of Nepal, you will find that Supercoach in their native tongue is Lek Dog Ding, which basically means man who picketh a good Supercoach team. Lek Dog, how are you doing?
I'm well. I appreciate the praise.
It's all right.
Supercoach is going okay this year too, at least in my draft leagues, which is the most important thing. I'm decided this week I'd get out of the pajamas, get into the sleeved Guernsey in honour of Carlton's blew-out release, which I still haven't pulled the trigger on because, as pointed out by my lovely fiancée, I do have 10 Guernseys in the cupboard, most of them already sleeved.
Mate, you've just got to set a standard here. You've got to set a standard, right? And honestly, the best thing you can do as a married man who has a wife that hates the fact you buy Guernseys all the time is the wonderful thing about football Guernseys is unlike soccer Guernseys, they all look the same. So just buy one and just be like, babe, that's 2022's, man. You've already told me off for that one.
Yeah. I mean, she does, yeah, and that is a great answer, but she does know that I don't have one with a blue CFC on it. So I might have to acquire the old one, the one that they previously released. It's blue. It's slightly different.
That's where you use me as your mate and you say, I've had to transfer Pom $150 for a golf trip we're going on.
Yeah.
And I buy it for you, and then we just go disappearing for a day drinking. Come back. Oh, Pom, I won an award. It happened to be the Blue Out Guernsey. See? These are positive lies.
Like a great win-win-win, to be honest.
Mate, these are positive lies. These are positive lies, right? And talking about positive lies, a man that never lies, but he's always positive. A man that's hair's growing out at the minute, and I don't know if this is a sign that he's not cutting his hair till Carlton lose. So that means we're never, ever losing again. Ian Brownie from the Navy Blue Corner. How are you, my friend?
Mate, very, very good. You mentioned at the top of the show, Liverpool are very close to a lovely 20th Premier League title. So very excited. Things are going very well. Blues are finally winning some football games. So no, very, very pleased with everything right now. It is crazy how much it changes your mood when Carlton are good, and not only just winning games, but like dominating in the fashion we did. Like, I don't care who it's against. Give me that game every single week. I'm always going to be happy cheering that on.
Mate, look, I agree with you. And on Liverpool, can I just say, as a Man United fan, even though I'm pretty sure there is a parable in the Bible about the Pope dying and Liverpool winning and the end of days. I'm pretty sure. Long time since I read the Bible. I'm sure that's a parable, though. I have got to say, Man United, as a Man United fan, I'm actually happy you're going to win it with stadiums full of people, because I do think the saddest moment in sporting history is you winning the title during COVID, because like no one cared about it. And I genuinely think Liverpool deserve to pack Anfield out and lift that trophy, because that's great for sport. And as much as I hate to say it as a United fan, you deserve it. You do deserve it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, everyone it was during COVID time, so everyone wasn't even able to celebrate with their mates, which is just horrific. Like, I feel bad for the Melbourne supporters in that sense. It was very much the same. Like, they finally get to win it after years, and you're stuck at home, which absolutely sucks. And Matt, I do not believe Trent will be staying, but at least Salah and Virgil signed. That's all we need.
You don't need Trent anyway. He's hyphenated his name. Pick a side. You either love your mum or your dad. You can't be both, mate. Stick your neck on the line. Yeah, I mean, that's what I say. But a man who not only is the spiritual guru of this, he's also probably the moralistic guru, and he also is the wordsmith of this group in the written form, a pensmith for the ages, I like to call him. If I am like, say, the Ricky Gervais of this group, this gentleman would be the Shakespeare of this group. None other than Jono Baruch from Garda Stand. How are you doing, my friend?
Good evening, Pom. Good evening, gents. Evening, chat. Just to Michael before, who says I need to turn off the smoke machine in the comments. I actually just got new lights installed in my room today, so I can actually see. So that's why they're probably a little bit bright. So thanks for that. It's great to be here, guys. Long weekend last week, Blues winning, another long weekend this weekend, and a big chance to really get things rolling again. So I agree with everyone. Like, my mood's just infinitely better when the Blues are winning, more productive, just a happier person to be around. And like anyone can tell you, I'm a prick whenever Carlton loses. So it's great to be here. It's great to chat and hopefully pick another team that's going to get the job done.
Mate, I'm looking forward to it. I can tell the chat, this is the smallest pool of players we're ever picking a team from. So We're obviously improving because we haven't. And for the first time in this series, I'm not the Axeman. So we have a new bad guy this week, a new bad guy. But I'll let you work out who that is as we go through. Genuinely excited about this one, as I always am. Let me just shift this because, unlike Terry, I'm not paying $1 million for this and having 8 presets. We do it on the fly. I mean, so we'll start. Random selected. I don't know who it is. There we are. Hey. Mr. Ian. No changes. Take us through it.
Mate, entertainment first, Ian. Jesus.
Well, see, this is the thing. You say not entertainment, but I'd say because it's so out there and you would not expect someone to rock up to this show without any changes on the selection table. Therefore, it is very riveting footage. So hopefully I can take you through it and explain why we don't even need to do the episode this week, boys. This is the team. And I know others will be bringing in changes. So I'm going to at least make my argument for why we should stick fat. Yes. My only real change this week, honestly, is the sub. I liked Cripple Lord coming on, kicking 2 lovely snags. So I think give him a little bit more time in that half-forward midfield role. A lot of that also is to do with me liking Paddy Cripps spending a bit more time up forward, particularly with a guy like Lewis Young down there. I think that allows him a bit more time forward, which by that happening means Lord comes in. My sub basically is Lockie Fogarty. Feels really tough to say someone played poorly last week. He would be the one I'd have on the end of that when he's in there for that pressure, and the rest of the forwards bring the pressure and also bring goals. And there's one big sort of turnover that is replaying in my mind every single day. Fortunately, that means you go to the sub and then we can bring you on and you can redeem yourself there. I think the biggest lack of change I've made is not bringing in Harry Mackay. And honestly, it's because of Pommy and what he said last week. I have to give him a lot of credit for this. When you were talking about that role of that second forward, Pommy, and you wanted it to be Pitto, I thought it could be Lewis Young, and he played it to a T. And you talk about, rewarding players and their good form and what they're able to do. Lewis Young played his role perfectly. He did everything you could have possibly asked and then some. Set up goals from a bump that allows Williams to get one. Taps the ball at full stretch. I've never seen him do that in his life to Hewitt that leads to a Cripps goal. Did every single little team thing you could possibly want, sacrificing his own game for the betterment of everyone else. I think to then drop him for Harry Mackay after that, I just feel like that also doesn't send the right message. I don't want to go for 3 talls. So, Youngie, you can stay in this week. And, yeah, that is my team this week. We are running it back.
Far out.
I would just like to point out.
I was coming here tonight.
I would like to point out, never in the show's history have we had no changes.
I've definitely never done it, so this is wild. This feels very strange to do.
So well done. Well done.
Yep.
My question before I throw it over to the panel and chat, throw your questions in. With Lockie Foggy, right? What are your thoughts on here? Do you feel that, one, Fogarty's turnover this week, was it shades of Corey Durden versus Jamie Elliott when he managed to handball straight to Jamie Elliott and knock us out of finals contention? But 2, do you feel like Carlton, this is probably one of the big positives this year, that Motlop, Durden, Williams and White have been bringing that tackle pressure, and maybe Carlton can move into 2025 now and play an actually have an extra player on the ground, as the Smalls are seeming to contribute in the last 3 games, defensively and attacking?
Yeah, it's a really good point. It's something I think we discussed on the podcast at the start of this year where we can kind of upgrade in this team. One of those, funnily enough, was George Hewitt, in the sense of we love what he can do in the inside, but is there an evolution where maybe by the end of this season, someone like Cooper Lord can do more on the offensive side, and maybe there's room for that? Well, George Hewitt has made me look like an absolute idiot because he's about to win the Brown, though. He is an absolute star and he's doing everything. But the other one was Fogarty in that forward line saying, we love what he brings, but can we go past just someone that brings pressure? And can we have our small forwards do that and kick goals? Does that allow you to pull another lever? And I think looking at hopefully the end team that we see for the back half of this year, that's Durden and Motlop bringing the pressure, kicking goals. A guy like Will White doing a little bit of both. Elijah then on that half forward. And maybe there is another player that can take that other spot that either pushes into the midfield or just has another facet of their game. And that's kind of where I see Fogarty at the moment. It's nothing necessarily against him, but it's just wanting to evolve what we are. The credit to him goes into the fact that no one has taken his spot for almost 2 years in the pressure he's brought. But now that we're seeing others, it might be time.
Good answer. Nick, you'll be happy. Your boy Lewis Young staying out. I'm sure you prepared a list of arguments.
I did. And you've just foxed me. Here it is. Here it's all written here. I've got piles and piles of paperwork as to why Lewis Young was going to be a better choice than Harry this year. And I've seen you say a few things about Lewis's game. And man, I didn't actually realise how well he played until I watched the replay, and you 100% nailed it. It was those team things he did, the clearing spaces inside the 50, the tackles that he laid, not necessarily trying to mark the ball and think about what to do with it next. He was part of the team, part of that forward line, and I think that we looked so much better. Like, we've been asking for defensive forward pressure, and we're seeing it now. We've gone from Fogarty being our man to create the forward pressure to, mate, look at the tackles that Will White's been laying. Durden, his tenacity, and I don't think I've seen many people run with the flight of the ball and take an absolute scissoring specky before, and that was huge. Yeah, man, I thought straight up you were going to bring Harry in and out with Young just because Harry's Harry, and mate, well executed. I've gone similar to you. I have made a change, but I've got a reason for the change, and I'll chat about it. But I was rapt to see how the team was playing. They were playing for each other. It wasn't a heap of individuals trying to be superstars. It was really you watch that dynamic when Young's tapped the ball in. You see the wall of all the players running line by line. Walshy back to his best. Really excited by how we played. I know people are going to say it's only North Melbourne, but from what we saw in the forward line, that's a huge change. And what we're seeing now from Carroll with that delivery into the forward line, it's massive. And if we can keep it up against the pressure side, hopefully we're back.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to see someone else.
So yeah, well done, man. I was going to argue with you.
Yeah, I'm glad someone has given Lewis Young some love. And I have to say as well, I just got off finishing recording a bit of a midweek episode with Lockie, and he had the exact same changes as me, which was none. So it's good to see someone else is a little bit aligned with me as well on top of that. There's just those team things. It was such a team performance from everyone that I think in the long run, clearly, yes, Harry's a star. He'll be in this team. But coming off the back of a concussion as well, we know his history. I think it's the perfect time to say, just have another week. I don't want to drop someone after playing such a team-first game. It sends the wrong message for me.
Yep. Mate, I love it. Got a question from the big, where is it? It was Matt here. Was there anyone in the twos that did give you any contemplation to bring in?
Honestly, not really. I watched the back half of that game. So, look, my knowledge of it might not be as amazing as someone else's, but no one really stood out really for me. I was intrigued to see Jordan Boyd and how maybe the back line could shift and maybe Ollie could swing out of there, but didn't impress me a lot. I mean, McMahon was the one and he's not on our list. So that probably tells you a lot.
Right. Like dog, no axes here. Any questions?
I mean, you can only pull this move once, is what I'll say to you, Ian. I think you're the first to go with no changes. The shock and awe of such a move, brilliant. You've generated conversation, but I think we'll be having a chat behind the scenes moving forward about this. Can't be bringing this every week. The logic is relatively flawless. I guess Lewis Young's biggest deficiency is that his name isn't Harry Mackay, and that's why in real life he won't play this week. But I like your team. I think Fogarty, I agree it's hard to drop someone off the last 2 weeks we've had, but I mean, we've been questioning Fogarty all year. So I guess if I pressed you and I said, I think we're lucky Will White's been in the team, but if I pressed you and said you can't have Fogarty in your team at all, who do you think you'd have instead? Would you have a Doc or would you have a Boyd? Or
that's a really good question. I think it may weirdly end up being like a Cowan, but I don't know where he sits with his fitness. He's obviously a test. I think the scope could be Cowan down back, Ollie Hollands moves back to a wing, and you pull that lever. But yeah, I feel like it could easily be give Ben Camperelli a go in that kind of role, or Lucas. None of them really have put their hand up for me is probably where I've sat on it. I completely agree. His form hasn't been great this season, so it's more than just one game in why you're probably dropping him this week. I'm struggling to figure out what that right balance is and who's put in enough to deserve to come in. So I'm very interested to see all the arguments from everyone else.
And one more from me, and anyone can chime in on this, but you've gone Sauce, Wiedering, Haynes, and McGovern, so we've kept the sort of the four talls in defence. Obviously, the first 3 weeks, that was shit, and we all hated it. How are you feeling about it now?
Yeah, it's weird. I still don't love it, but I think part of me has become you, Lekdog, in clearly they're going to go with it, so I think I have to just go with it. There's a level of they've worn me down, but it is that tough thing. McGovern then turns around and plays his 2 best games of the season, albeit against the opposition we know. Haynes has started to play some good footy. I feel like this is that last chance for it. Play it up against a really good forward line that is small and nimble. And if it doesn't work, then that tells me like McGovern can't play small then. And then Cowan probably will come straight in next week. But I'm probably playing the easy route here and giving them 1 more week.
And Gov, do you know who you're playing him on?
Oh, it's probably Danger, which kind of worries me. But I feel like he's the only one that could play that role.
Yeah.
Who we got on Jeremy Cameron then?
I think Sauce. I think he's got the
probably
capacity to move. I feel like I like Wiedering deeper. So Sauce will be interesting. I think it actually suits him.
All right. Well done.
And yeah, I think
John,
there was a question in the chat. If Wiedering doesn't get up, then Young goes back, Harry comes in.
Mate, D, that's a tough question for a gentleman who has made no changes. That's harsh. Let him have it. Let him have it. Jono, any questions? No changes. Do you like it, Jono?
I do like it. I have made a change, but I will keep that for when my team comes up. My question was just going to be about matchups, but I think you've already answered it with giving McGovern the McGovern the Dangerfield role, which is really interesting. I'll touch on it more when I get to my team, but with George Hewitt he's in some amazing form as of late. As he said, he's probably winning the Brownlow at the moment. Gonna win the Brownlow medal too. Are we giving him a tagging role this week, or are we just saying you just keep doing you?
No.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a big tagging fan myself. So it's just play how you have been. Be the better midfield. Make them defend you is that my kind of, I guess, thinking around it. Same with like the forward line. I don't love playing defensive players in there because it's like, no, kick goals and then make them defend on you. Then they can't have roaming off halfback. So yeah, that's my kind of thinking matchup wise there. The Dangerfield one's really interesting because he is so mobile. He is big. There's not a great deal of matchups for anyone else. I weirdly would have loved Cowan to be flying. That would have been a matchup I would love to see where Cowan's at with kind of like a lockdown, but with him coming back from injury, it's probably not the time for that lockdown. But yeah, no, let Hewitt roam like he has been.
I never thought I'd see the day one of us would do no changes. I'm genuinely excited.
I'm just scared to do it ever again. I think Lekdog will get me if I ever do it again. So
you can never do it again. Just that's just a rule. If I got my producer hat on, this is a one-time only move.
You can tell that dog's missus has said no more Guernseys. He's taking it out on Ian.
I signed Charlie one. So around instead.
I like this comment from Tim before we move on. Is no changes a finable offence?
It's controversial.
I'll bring the penalty skull.
I've brought some controversy to the show, and that's what I'm here for.
I genuinely thought we'd win a flag before I saw no changes. Like genuinely, that's what I thought. I thought we'd be on our third flag in a year, third flag in a row, and that's when we start going. Look, we're the best team in the country. We don't have to change anything. But there we are. We are here. Fairly simple, this, right? So I watched the VFL, and genuinely, no one stood out, and that review goes out after this show. So if you are interested, make sure you watch that. But I looked, and I have to get Ollie Hollands out of this team. I love him, but it's progressively getting worse. And I'm beginning to fear we are getting into a situation with Ollie that we are stifling his enjoyment, because this week it was literally, he got the ball limited amount of times in good areas, turned the ball over, and then it was the pressure element of it. And I did enjoy in the VFL, they've given him a little bit of a recessive role, Boyd, a little bit more of a defensive role. So I wanted to get Ollie out of there and just enjoy it. And for me, he's a winger, and he's now in direct competition with Akers, Cottrell, and Walsh. And I want to get him back there and just enjoy it, because I have a real fear that Carlton have this, what I like to call 23rd man syndrome. It used to be Lockie O'Brien, kind of too good to play in VFL and valuable, but probably not good enough to keep playing that role in the AFL. So I want him to go back there, enjoy it, lead a little bit, control the game in the juniors, the improvement of juniors. And Boyd, for me, I just thought if he had the ball 11 times there, at least he's getting the game moving forward. And he's ready-made. And then Fogarty, for me, I feel like it's a confidence issue. He had the opportunities to shoot. He didn't. I want to see him go into VFL, put the pressure in, kick a few goals, and basically put pressure. This is what we bought him for. Put pressure on Durden, put pressure on Motlop, put pressure on White, average a goal and a bit a game in VFL, and basically say, look, if you're standing slip, I'm ready. I didn't want to make him sub. I think it's disrespectful. And I didn't want Lord as sub again. Because it's ridiculous. So looking at it, my contemplation was Mackay is his fourth concussion in 24 months. 12 days is up tomorrow. I don't want to risk it. And I look at Geelong. Teams have kicked goals against them with lesser forwards than Charlie Kerner. So all Young's got to do is spread it, keep the area open. And statistically, Carlton Smalls do kick more goals when they play with one key forward. So why ruin? Why risk it? So Lucas Camporelli comes in purely as the sub in this case. Let him have that. I feel like it probably should have been Elijah last week. I'm willing to give Elijah another week, but Lucas, I feel like he's hit his benchmark in VFL. Watching that game, it was a typical game, so I can't really see Lucas learning anything. And giving him a week just to say, look, tell you what, your next cab off the rank, here's a little bit of a taste against Geelong, a team that bid on you, ironically. So a little bit of inspiration for him, but really keep it simple. That was my mandate. Keep it simple, stupid. I wanted to just make it nice and simple. So I'd thinking long term. Ollie gets a couple of VFL weeks. Fogarty keeps a couple of VFL weeks, and try and keep this team as simple as possible.
I think, Pommy, you mentioned a good note there around Fogarty, and you said the word confidence. And I think that's the only thing that these senior players can get out of going to the reserves. There's a comment there about, Ollie can go back and work on his kicking and in the VFL, but they're working on their kicking all day, every day. But what he can do, so his kicking's not going to improve just by playing in the VFL. But what they can do is build Fogarty's confidence, because he'll be one of the better players at the level. And then the Hollands piece, I think, is a good one. It's like, when he goes back to that level, what role are you giving him? Are you playing him in this pretend 23rd man defensive role, which you and I spent an hour and a half on the phone discussing today, or are you going to play him in his proper actual wing role? So I think you're right. I think there's a key note, like, we expect players to go back to the twos and suddenly miraculously improve, but what we want them to do is actually just build some confidence and really land on a specific role if we're doing a role change. So love that. Quite like the team. really like Boyd as an option. I think the Ollie Hollands thing is an observation which you've addressed with your changes is when we're shoehorning him into that defensive role in the same way the Blues are currently doing, it's preventing our second best kick, statistically our second best kick in Boyd from being in the team, which to me is wild in a game where, we're defensive first, but you still need someone to distribute off the half back line.
Yeah, I agree. It's just purely, for me, a blind man can see it's not working for Ollie. It's progressively getting worse. And I don't think that's his fault. He's trying, but I think Cowan coming back now, there is huge depth at halfback. And for me, I want Cowan in the VFL this week. Play that Nick Haynes role, what you did as a junior, the interceptor. If Ollie is a halfback and that's where the future is, play him off halfback this weekend. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're messing about with Billy Wilson in the VFL. Give him a couple of games in the VFL to find his feet and get a bit of confidence. But it's an interesting one. I just felt like I can't bring Cowan in because Carroll's been so good. And I'd rather see Carroll play that role, if truth be told, than Ollie. It's his natural position. So I'm not too sure what they're doing with Ollie because it's fascinating because it's starting to become a problem, in my opinion.
And teams identify that sort of stuff, right? Teams would just be targeting whoever Ollie's man is every single week because they know it's a weakness. So why offer that up to a good team if he couldn't get it done against the poor teams? So, I think it's a great shout.
Right, there it is. Nick, any questions for me?
No, just on the Ollie Hollands thing, and I think you're right. It's definitely not working at half back. Do you think Carlton as a team, it's almost like where we park midfielders that aren't quite going to make it in the midfield? I mean, we've seen it time and time again. Like we're not building a rock solid defence, which I feel that one on paper there. Haven't been a fan of Haynes, but I feel he's really lifted in the last couple of weeks and sort of found himself in the side. We've got rock solid options in our back line. Let's build some strong defenders. Ollie to me, he's never looked like a strong defender ever. He plays his best football running up and down the wing. He's got pace about him. He modelled his game type, and he said this when he was drafted. He modelled himself on Walsh. Now he's not quite Walsh. He's not ready to be Walsh for a few years until he bulks up. But it just seems like a place where we park future midfielders to me. We hang on to them and then we delist them. And it happened, it's happened with Kennedy, with maybe Williams, drafted as a.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's midfield specific. I do think we've got 23 guys we want to fit into this team. How do we move the magnets around to get them all in, which is the square peg, round hole thing. You're right, we did it with Kennedy and stuff. But we've done it time and time again. And the periods where we have been really successful are the periods when we just played players in their best position. That's when we've always gone on our best runs. And then really successful clubs with really strong caliber leaders in every line and that have had premiership success generally, they can kind of afford to do this sort of thing on the fly when they've got really well coached, really well structured. They can sort of play a guy out of position and get him to learn on the job how to defend. But we're just not there tactically to be able to cover a hole like that in game or make those changes. So if we were a Geelong and we were doing this, I think you can get away with it, but we're not. We're Carlton. So I'm with you.
I think
we
my
don't have
biggest
Carlton on supporting you.
No.
Well, my biggest bugbear is someone who watches nearly every minute of VFL as I can get from other teams as well, is I can't name any other AFL teams in the VFL that play their ball through Heath Ramshaw, Archie Stevens, Will Hayes, and then have Liam McMahon as their main target. So 4 players that are nowhere near AFL lists, nowhere near AFL standards, but they are the kings of the roost. No other team does it. Like this weekend, it's crazy. Adam Tomlinson's the main man at North who has been guaranteed to be taken by them in MSD, right? Openly as well, that it's the worst kept secret in football. And then outside of that, It's their kids who are in charge. So their midfield this week, Urquhart, Bailey Scott, they were the main breadwinners in and around the ball. They're literally saying, right, okay, we don't care about wins. We care about getting the development in. But that's the same with Carlton for the last 5-6 years in the VFL. I would actually say, in my humble opinion, since Carlton have taken over its own VFL, it is the worst run. Because what planet are we on? Why is Will Hayes playing as the senior player on the ball? Like, what are we gaining out of that? Like, is it cheap tickets to the horse racing through his dad? Like,
I can get you cheap tickets to the racing. I think I'd rather that than have Will Hayes be the key cog in our development side.
Do you know what I mean? Like Liam McMahon, why is he the main target? I don't know how many times I've got to say this, but he has been overlooked. 4 drafts, 4 MSDs, 4 major clubs begging for a key forward. Why is he the main key forward? Play him as the second.
I'll challenge on the Will Hayes thing slightly in that I think you do need some experience and bigger bodies in there to help nurture the talent. But I agree with you in the sense that if he's the one it's all going through and not letting the others go with him and the rest of that midfield cast is not young Carlton players, then that's the problem. But I think you do need elements of that leadership across the line. But yeah, to your point of making them the focal point is probably the bigger issue.
Yeah, but my issue is like this week, Darcy McPherson not on an AFL list, the most contested possessions on the ground. Matt Keast not on an AFL list, the most contested possessions on the ground, right? Will Hayes had less than 30% of his possessions contested. So what the fuck's he protecting? He's literally... Ben Camporelli had nearly double the amount of contested possessions. So he's a young man doing the hard stuff. So for me, like when you're kicking to Liam McMahon, no AFL forward is that lazy with his leading patterns at all. No other AFL forward sits there and goes, yeah, kick it on my head, don't worry, I've got Taylor Goad here, he's 12 years old, I'll batter him. Like, so even the midfielders aren't learning at all, where Harry Lemmy, I don't rate Harry Lemmy that greatly, but at least he leads like a modern day forward. He should be being targeted 20 times out of every 30 inside 50s because hopefully one day he gets called in seniors. So for me, I feel sorry for these kids because what is Will Hayes giving us? He's not giving us anything at all. The decision evidently was made to delist Paddy Dow at the bye last year, but he continued to be the main man for the whole year in VFL. It makes no sense to me. Like, if I was Luke Power and I was Voss, I wouldn't want Heath Ramshaw ever having more than 10 touches for the VFL. Because I'm like, he's never playing AFL football for us. Ever. Give that job to Billy Wilson. Let's see what he does. So I feel sorry for him because Ollie will go to this level next week in my team and they'll be like, oh, it's all right, don't worry, Will Hayes, I've 40 touches, you just run around, mate.
Well, yeah, and you're right. It should be Fogarty and Hollands in your team that go back and dominate in the VFL, but we'll see.
Jono, have you got any questions for me?
I'm just thinking about, I completely understand your reasonings for your omissions, and I agree with you. I agree with your reasoning around the Ollie Hollands one, particularly. Just I wrote today in a piece that I put out that it feels like AFL level is a bit too quick for him still. And how Terry's actually articulated this really well before, in that when you sort of get into your AFL career, the game slows down a bit for you, and that's when you know you're really adapted and can play at the level. And I feel like with Ollie, you've kind of mucked him around a little bit because you've thrown him in an unfamiliar role. So therefore, it's all going at a million miles an hour for him. And to the kid's credit, he plays like he gives a shit. He plays like he absolutely wants it to work. But it's just not there at the moment, really. So I'm coming to think of it, I don't think they will drop him, but it might be an opportunity for him to go back and run around a little bit, play on the wing. But then, Pom, and I guess here's my question, is that an admission from the club that, we've gotten it wrong with Ollie Hollands and is going to go back to being a winger now?
I don't know who made the decision of Ollie Hollands to be a halfback, but for me, from watching every minute he played as a junior footballer, because he was one of my favourites, mind-boggling that he's there, because there isn't anything he does at junior level that screams halfback at all. So I think it has to be an admission that you're wrong, because the same reason I said about Dan Houston, the depth in that position, even without Nick Newman, is overwhelming, because you're forgetting about Lockie Cowan. Lockie Cowan was an incredible high halfback as a junior, so he should be the first cab off the rank, in my opinion, anyway, if Nick Newman's out. He loves the ball. He's fast. He's strong. Makes no sense what you were doing with him. To me, on the wing. And then when this week I see Blake Acres play the attacking wing role, which he got delisted by St Kilda for, because they thought he was too defensive. Then Fremantle played him as the intercepting defensive winger, and he rejuvenated his career. I'm like, that's where you play children and young players with no defensive responsibility. For me, it just feels like at the minute, it feels like Lockie O'Brien. He's the 23rd best player, and we have to pick him. Where already Lucas Camporelli's 2 VFL games have dwarfed Ollie Hollands' VFL games that he's ever played for this football club. They've dwarfed them. 9 marks, 3 of them intercept this week. Do you know what I mean? More score involvements. Already, in my opinion, Lucas Camporelli on VFL form is ahead as a winger of Ollie Hollands. And that is a concern, because I can't tell you how good you are to go wing in the first round of the AFL. It's not a mistake by the club; it's a mistake in the development of this football.
Yeah. So let's role play this then. Pretend I'm the journo, you're Michael Voss at the press conference. Who Vossi was asked last week at the presser about the young Campos and Ashton Moyer and their development, and the answer he gave around Lucas was he got a chance. There are a few chinks and kinks that they wanted to iron out in the game. So the question, Coach Pom, is you've watched Lucas Camporelli run around in the twos the last few weeks, is putting up some numbers. What is the specific thing you are looking for him to do that can usurp someone like an Acres or Ollie Hollands in that wing role in the AFL side?
Well, I think already you're seeing it. He's the number 1 VFL winger at the minute on an AFL list for kicking efficiency, going at 88%. And that is probably the biggest question mark of Lucas as a junior. I think his 2-way running's impressive. He's making himself available. He's staying free. And I think we saw against GWS in the practice game, the difference between him, Binns, Ollie, is he's got an instinct to stay wide, not play central. So for me, I want to see him right now. I don't think he's ready to play AFL yet, but I would say out of all the VFL boys, other than Boyd, he's the next cab off the rank who has proved every week since he's played shit kickers football that he's trying to develop his game. So give him 20 minutes as a sub and say, right, you know what? You're coming on. Hard work. You get a bit of a reward here, because I think Benny's number 2 at the minute. At the minute, what scares me is watching the VFL is Ben and Lucas stand out by Flemington compared to the rest of the AFL listed boys. It's actually scary.
It is. The other question / point / concern I wanted to raise with you was around Jordan Boyd. I can't have Jordan Boyd in my team at the moment. It just feels to me, and Pom, you watch the VFL a lot closer than I do at the moment. It just feels to me that Boyd's at a little bit of a crossroads. I'm not going to say career-wise, but this time last year he was first picked. Remember, Voss brought him back cold for a prelim final and we're 30 games later, and he's a fringe player just pulling around the VFL. What did he get? Mid-teens disposals, taking kick-outs, just doing what he does, distribute the ball. But it just looks like he's going through the motions a little bit at the moment. I know you've got him in your side to do a role, particularly be that offensive kick from half back, but it just seems to me, and maybe some of the other boys are seeing it differently or watched the VFL, it just seems to me that there's a couple that have gone ahead of him for the time being.
I thought his role was very interesting this week, and it gave me a little bit of heart that maybe they do watch some of the shows, because he felt like he was playing a more extra role, more of a protection role. He wasn't doing what we've seen of Jordan Boyd in the past, where they play him loose in the pocket. He ends up with 30 touches. He looks like a world beater. I did like the fact he had a bit more defensive responsibility, because my question with Boyd, I think he's a hopeless defender. And I'm not a big fan of it. I think he dines out on the fact that we never put him in a contested situation and he kicks, which any idiot can do. Like when people bring up the kicking retention, I'm telling you, I watch way too much junior football. Every person in the world can kick at 80% with no pressure. They're all expert kick-to-kick players. So you always see that from Jordan Boyd. My question is, defensively, I don't like him. I do like the fact he's got the responsibility. So I feel like he could do the Ollie role. Like watching him, that was a very Ollie role in the AFL, in the VFL for him. He wasn't the main man. He was just in between. He was the outlet, and I think that's his best position. So I'd rather Boyd play that, because he's 25. He's 25. What is he now? 25, 26? He's not our future Jordan Boyd. So if we're in between, what role are you at 27 years old? I don't mind you doing it, because you're. Yeah, do you know what I mean? You're not there forever, are you? You're not there forever. So I'd rather sacrifice Boyd and potentially ruin Ollie Hollands' career playing a role that he's not suited for.
Yeah, well, I brought it up a couple of weeks ago, and Cracker's gone with it in the comments. Just switch his flank around. We've seen how well it's looked with Matt Carroll getting up the field and delivering the ball inside 50. If you've got him pushing up as that half-forward flank and being that kick to find a target inside forward 50, then that's your role. It's probably the most important kick that you can have on the field.
I'd counter it, though, like I always do. We would be incredibly naive to think as a football club we're smarter than 17 other football clubs, because we're not. We're probably the worst recruiting side in the history of professional sport. Do you know what I mean? Bar maybe North Melbourne. So the fact that Agresta brought him on and they said they saw his future at halfback, no one else bought him in that MSD. No one else has shown any interest in him. So for me, although he played there at VFL level, he got picked on the back of his halfback games. So it's the same with like Liam McMahon, the argument I have with that. It's the same when people say, what about Boyd Woodcock? 17 other AFL teams are saying Bobbin's not good enough. So what makes us confident that we've done it, in my opinion? Because Elijah, I would counter, went top 10 in his draft year playing as half forward. So that instantly makes him better, because he had interest from all nine other clubs after that pick. You know what I mean?
Elijah was a pick one candidate if he didn't do his knee, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
So that's all my theory. Like, we're talking about our VFL, his pants, and then we're saying, have we missed a trick? Like, of course we haven't missed a trick. We're not clever enough. We need to accept we are a very dumb football club. Like, we're playing the best winger in the country as a back pocket at the minute. Like, that's how stupid we are at developing players. Like, we've got Caleb Windsor and we're playing in back pocket. Pom shooting at the VFL. But, Nick, I've sent a lamb to your slaughter. Jono.
I feel
He's
like I'm
made one
shooting.
change.
I feel like I'm shooting Bambi after the discussion and the praise we showered him with tonight. But yes, this is my team. Only the one change, and it is incredibly stiff. And I'll give this a plug now, and I'll probably give it a plug at the end of the show. But we did our first quarterly one-liner reviews from the Gardener Stand today, and I wrote for Lewis that I'm grateful that we have him. This isn't verbatim, and he's probably got the toughest role in the club. He's the first tall player to come in every week should something, touch wood, happen to someone, and he won't know what role or what end of the ground is going to be playing week to week. So to have someone like him who's there, I'm ready to do whatever you need me to do, coach, is so incredibly valuable. He's a limited player. We know he's a limited player, but we love someone who has a crack, and he did absolutely everything that was asked of him on Sunday and then more. Why is he being left out of my team, you may ask? Well, it's very simply, it's all about balance, and particularly when you're playing a team like Geelong who have so many weapons on every single line, you have to make sure you get the balance right. I looked at the team that we put out on the park last time we played them. We had the 2 tall forwards, we had the 3 tall backs, so we're differing from that slightly with Haynes coming in. But I feel like Geelong match up a little bit differently now with the way that Dangerfield's playing more permanent forward, so you can get away with playing the 4 tall backs. And the tall forwards, I feel like we've unlocked something in the past couple of weeks with small ball. And it was mentioned before about you can play that extra small forward now with the way that they're all chasing and harassing and applying that tackling pressure. So in previous weeks, I've had Fogarty in the gun, but it's looked pretty good against, albeit lesser opposition, no disrespect to North Melbourne and the West Coast Eagles, but it's looked well. I'm actually giving Fogarty a role this week, so, and it's a big role. So all the rage has been on, I don't know if anyone here has watched Fox Footy. They've coined the name the Dash Bros for Bailey Smith, Max Holmes. So Max Holmes is going to start at the stoppage, start in the center of the ground. Hewitt will probably mark him at stoppages, and then Hewitt, go do what you want. From there, you've got Holmes and Bailey Smith. I think they're ranked 1 and 3 for the most meters gained player is in the competition. What I would like to see is I'd like to see Voss and the defensive coaches run a very similar tactic to what we did when we played Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval last year. So for those who don't remember what we did, it was hailed a genius move. We ran something like a double tag on Houston and Farrell, which they're the 2 guys that for Port Adelaide really pinged off their half back line and really got them moving forwards. So I'm looking at guys like Lockie Fogarty, Matt Cottrell, who can get up the ground, apply the pressure, and then really ping back the other way. So if Holmes is going to start at the stoppage and then go back, and Bailey Smith likewise is going to follow the ball a little bit, but really start the run from the back half, really try and limit their run and limit their supply. And that really fuels Geelong's power game. I feel like they're playing the type of speed and power game that Carlton have been speaking about that they want to play so far this year. Really, really well. I watched them on Monday. That game changed when Brian Myers got knocked into next week by Connor Nash. He was the highest rated player on the ground up until he got out. So it's going to be interesting. There's certainly there is a route to victory for us in this game, I can definitely see. And I think a big part of that as well is just going to be change the angles. So Matt Carroll, give him the license. Loved exactly what he's done. I don't see them dropping Ollie Hollands, even though Pom's given me 15 good reasons as to why when he explained his team. Lucky Cowan, if fit, I understand he will be playing VFL, so I don't think you need to worry about Lucky Cowan coming in. And I'm keeping it the same with Cooper Lord being my sub because I like that extra midfielder coming on as the sub, particularly later in the game, someone with the fresh legs. And now that we've seen in the last couple of weeks again, albeit as lesser opposition, but he can come on, he can get double-figure disposals, and he can kick a couple of goals. So he's the perfect type of player that could play that sub role. And it's interesting looking at the sub role. It is a real defined role. We spoke about that last week and toying with the fact that Elijah could maybe even be the sub. But Voss has kind of gone in spurts. So like last year, it was all about a small forward was a sub all the time. And now it seems like it's going to be a midfielder that is the sub all the time. So it's just something to watch. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it at the moment.
Well, I'll kick us off with Lord. You've made him sub again.
Yes.
Right. And there was a great comment in there by Tim. We said the same about Kennedy, and then we punted him. I've got a genuine worry at the minute that Lord is currently Kennedy 2.0 with this sub. And what scares me is this is probably the first time Voss has shown his hand and moved Cripper away from the ball to open up on-ball minutes. But it's kind of spread between people that you wouldn't really expect to have on-ball minutes. Is there a fear from you that Cooper Lord, one, just keep playing the sub minutes, he's never going to fully get his eye in, and two, that he's maybe stifling his development, not getting enough time? He's been lucky that people have been injured in the first quarter.
Well, then I'll pose you this question, and it's a question for everyone here and a question for the chat. If your options are, say you're Cooper Lord, right? Cooper, you've got two options. You can play AFL minutes, you're going to be the sub. This is going to be a role this week. Or we can guarantee you a full game of VFL. You will be the number one midfielder to get your minutes up because you are the future of this football club. You're signed up for this year. You're signed up for next year. Go and develop your game at VFL level, and we'll play Doc as the sub because, let's be real, Doc might only have 12, 18, 24 months left as an AFL level footballer, if that. So the counter argument to that is you want to get Cooper Lord ready by giving him exposure to AFL minutes and against a quality opposition. Or do you say, no, we're going to send you back to the VFL this week, play a full game as the number one midfielder in the hope that you can grow into that role in the AFL side in the future? Which option are you taking?
Well, if I'm Lord, I'm taking AFL because you get paid more. But if I'm me making the decision, I go back to Pommy's thing about, well, why can't Cooper Lord be our VFL Will Hayes? Because I know he's kicked 3 goals, but and I know champion data, I think, are classing him as a forward now based on time on ground. But I just want to see him be the next midfielder personally. Having said that, we're then assuming our VFL team will actually develop him, which, as we've spent a lot of today talking about,
the jury's
can't
out on
develop
that.
in that side. Can't develop in that side.
You know what counter it though? Last year, Kennedy towards the end of the year was getting 45% of time on the ball. Right. So Carlton did shift it back. But right now we're sharing. Cripper's got less. TDK and George Hewitt have stayed the same. Walsh has got less. Cherra's gone up. But then we've spread it between Zach Williams, Elijah Hollands, Fogarty, ironically, and then Motlop, right? What and also Lord, why can't you just double Lord's minutes and then you're using Motlop, Hollands, as spurts through there as PODs. Like, it's obvious Voss is trying to develop this Cripps role, which he should have done a long time ago, in my opinion. But I don't get the Lord thing, because I agree with Leck. Like, send him to VFL. If he's not ready to do that, VFL him, because we've got other players that are capable of playing across half forward.
Well, just look at his time on ground. He got a full game against Collingwood when he didn't get subbed off, but he only played about 60% time on ground and yet was in amongst our leading disposals winner. So he's definitely shown that he can find the ball and doesn't need a lot of time to impact. It's just a question of whether or not the club thinks it's ready, and maybe that's why they want to try fast track his development by playing him as a sub to get him in and around that AFL side, get some more younger blood in it. And I wrote as part of the review, like, the new blood in the team has just given it just a bit of extra zest and a little bit of extra life. Like, you can tell in the way that the team's operated in the last couple of weeks. You know, White, Carroll, Lord's been getting in and amongst it. So it's just, there's pros and cons to having him in the side playing that role. And as I've said, and I'll keep banging on about it, the sub now has become such an important and defined role. Yes, it becomes more important later in the season when you're picking a team that's going to try be your set team and making sure you can have someone there that can cover all bases. And at the moment, Lord's showing that he can play that sub role quite well. Yes, you run the risk of getting him offside and not getting a full game potentially under his belt. And then he's the unfortunate bastard after the game is doing all the run-throughs and trying to get all his Ks up to make sure he hits his markers. But it's interesting. What do you look at? Ultimately, if you're looking at that side there, Pom, that's on the table, who's the other option to go as sub? You're not putting in one of the smalls because of the way that they want the forward line to work and the way that you articulated last week of having one tall up high, the other tall anchored to the goal square a little bit, and the medium smalls in and around that. And particularly with Geelong, with the likes of Jeremy Cameron, Shannon Neal, Close is nifty, so you need someone taller who can mind him. And Dangerfield is playing mostly forward. It's not going to be one of the backs either. So what do? Is it someone like an Ollie Hollands maybe?
I think if you look at
Cottrell or a Williams, X factor.
Yeah,
have someone with X factor who, at the crucial point of the game, when everyone's out of Lex, injects a bit of life into the game. I think that should be the role of the sub, not to be on standby for an injured player.
Yeah.
Well, I think you look at Sid Drape as a great example. He was sub first two games for Adelaide. Nick's covered it quite well, said that, look, they felt he was too good for state league football. They had a defined role for him. When they subbed him on, it was for the weakest midfielder from that week. And he got the spurts that he needed to. And then it was the debut round 3 where he was quite open and said, you can't be a sub twice. You know what I mean? You can't be a sub more than twice. Like, he had to play the full game and get the minutes in. Yes, Cooper Lord's got more minutes than he probably should have done because we've had unlucky injuries. But, like, again, I would counter this. When you're a sub, it's meant to be a POD, isn't it? It's point of difference, or it's coverage for a player that potentially is injured. And I just feel like an inside midfielder that might be quick. And then we've played him across forward line. Like my anger with this football club is, why is he playing half forward when he was drafted as an inside midfielder? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want a half forward, you have 2 windows nowadays to buy a half forward, and they're 10 a penny. We needed a small forward, so we converted Fogarty. Like, why is this club almost like your crooked Aunt Betty that is force feeding you mouldy, and she just cuts off the mouldy crust and feeds you it instead of going out to Aldi and buying it for $1? Like, Cooper Lord is a midfielder. Cooper Lord is an incredible part of a dynasty side at Sandringham. I don't mind him pinch hitting forward, but when he's on the subs bench, that game you mentioned, the week after against the Doggies, he played the Fogarty role. So why is he there? Like, why are we incapable of drafting a player and actually playing him? Why do we have this Liam Jones syndrome? It's sometimes easier when you get a hack key forward to delist him and go, look, we're really shit at drafting. Instead of going, oh, maybe he could be a key defender. Maybe Fogarty can be a pressure forward. Now, Cooper Lord, it's obvious Doc Cripps is coming out of the gun ball. Give him the minutes. And if he's not good enough, he's not good enough. But it feels like we have this obsession at this football club of we want it to work so badly, we'll stifle development. But he's played one game full-time on the ball where he had 7 tackles, 20 touches, tagged Jack Steele for a quarter against St Kilda. So he's already proved he can do something that it took Cripps 14 appearances to get the better of Jack Steele. Cooper Lord did it in his first game. So, like, my argument is, why can't he play on the ball? And if he can't, why is he here?
Yeah. No, I think it just comes down to ego as well. Ego from a coaching group and ego from a football club that, they get set in their ways that they want something to work and they're going to be like, no, we're going to back it in and we're going to back it in. We're going to back it in until it absolutely blows up in their face. So, look, this is just what I see happening. I've tried to pick the team based on some information that I've gotten, based on what I think will happen and what we're most likely to see. And honestly, how I think we're going to how we're going to beat Geelong with the resources that we have. And
I love the team, though. I'm not having a go at you. I'm not. To answer Gavin's question, very common. When you're an inside midfielder who is dynamic like him, you play him in an area that can get you used to the game. So traditionally, Cam Rayner played at halfback. Nick Dacos played at halfback. Harley Reid is currently being played at halfback. It's the traditional development role in senior football for them to learn the pace and speed of the game. But if you watch Nick Dacos, it lasted 8 games before he started having 40, 60 minutes. Like, what I'm saying is, Carlton, if we had Nick Dacos, would have played as Lockie Fogarty to train him. That's what we would have done. We would have been like, oh, he's quick, he's got a sexy tan. Forward pocket, because we haven't drafted a proper one. That's the difference. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, I'll say 2 more things before we move on because we're going way over time here. Like, one, you say that it scares me to think what would have happened with Jagger this year had he been fit and where they would have played him and how long it would have taken from them to move him from half back into the midfield. And the other thing is, and I'm sure all you blokes and everyone in the chat will agree, if Harry Mackay is fit, you are playing him. End of story. Yep. Anyway, let's move on.
Can I be mean and say that I wouldn't? But talking about a man who swung the axe, Leg Dog here wasn't just shooting Bambi, but he took out Bambi's mum and a distant cousin as well. Leg Dog, talk me through it.
There's not much to talk through. Lewisham played a good game. Did the team things as you all discussed, but he's not Harry Mackay. So if Harry Mackay is available, Harry Mackay will play in this team. Ollie Cooper Lord. Cooper Lord comes out for the very reasons we just discussed, because my preference is for him to play as the big fish in the VFL team than as the kind of forward role sub that he's been playing, which he's kicked a couple of goals against a couple of shit teams, but he comes out. And then Fogarty, for me, actually, you might have swayed me a little bit there, Jono, with your talk about what role you'd play him in. But as in the traditional role that he's been playing for us this year as a sort of half forward, I think we can bring pretty much anyone in and perform at the same level. And he doesn't really have the upside in the long term that a guy like Lucas or Ben Campbell does.
My team in the comments.
Hollands goes to the bench because I thought axing a fourth player would be a bit rough. So he goes to my bench as my seventh sort of defender. Cottrell is my forward/wing rotation, probably primarily wing. He's been really good over the last 4 weeks. Walsh starts named on a wing, but we know he plays midfield. So it's really Campo, Akers, and Cottrell as my 3 wingers. Elijah Hollands is my sub because he was really good for 5 minutes last week, but then he was gassed for the other 75 minutes that he played. So I still want him in the team as that explosive forward, basically doing what we've done with Lord, but with a bit more experience and a bit more explosiveness. So he's my sub. And then Ben Campo gets the debut. Maybe he's the one that I rotate and give him a crack at the Fogarty role. But to be honest with you, I just think him, as we talked about earlier with Pom, I think the Campos are head and shoulders above everyone else in a VFL side at the moment. So bring him in. This is my team.
Can I just give Wayne Daniel a shout out? That is exactly why I worded it like that, because I have a sick sense of humour. And it did genuinely make me laugh and remind me going to private school. Black Dog, my question's quite simple, right? Just quite simple. You brought in Camporelli and Ben Camporelli and Elijah Hollands. With Elijah, do you see a little bit of Ben Camporelli and Elijah are kind of fighting for the same position? And is this like one of them games that you'd like to see them go up against each other? Because with all due respect to Will White, he has kind of played that other half forward flank. And if you can get Ben Camporelli and Elijah at their best level, we have got 2 of the most dangerous half forwards in the competition, haven't we?
Yeah, well, I mean, in my side, if you're planning for, assuming we have no injuries, which is a big assumption for us, I'm probably starting Ben and subbing in Elijah. I don't really care what the split is, if it's 3/4 or half the game. I don't really care. But in my eyes, in an ideal world, they're probably both in the side. But I think in reality, they're not. They're both not up to scratch right now to both be playing a full game for us. I think that leaves too many weak links. I think Will White is real lucky that, or not lucky, I think he's been a revelation in the sense that he's come in and performed a really strong defensive role, but also has generated shots on goal. Now, he's had 2 weak opponents the last 2 weeks, but he looked really good in his debut against Collingwood as well. So I don't think long-term Will White is your starting half forward flanker or whatever, but he's probably really strong depth. But for now, given Ben hasn't played senior footy and Lige, from the looks of him last week, just wasn't fit enough to play at the game, I think they're fighting for one position and he's currently got his hands on another. I also think similarly, he has come in and shown, and they're not playing exactly the same role, but he has shown upside in that Fogarty type role that I haven't seen from him this year. He's so I'm really happy with him. And yeah, to answer your question, yes, it's Ben and it's Lige, ideally in the same team, but for now, fighting for the same spot.
Says he's happy you've got both Camporellis. Boys, have we got any questions?
I'll just answer Peter, and Andrew. Lord out isn't from him being shit or underperforming. It's for him having a lack of clear role. He's not a midfielder in the current team and he's not a forward. So put him back in the VFL and let him absolutely dominate.
And be bumping so Will Hayes can have 45 touches so Luke Power can get down to the Cannington races for free beers. Any other questions for Black Dog boys?
I've got one. You've brought in Lucas, who is very much a winger. Was there any scope with all the talk about Ollie in keeping Ollie in as the winger over Lucas and then bringing in a Cowan or a Boyd to play that defensive role?
Boyd, I didn't have in my plans at all. I think with Cowan, if he was 100% healthy, and maybe he is, I still think coming back from that hammy and I don't ever trust a Carlton player coming back early. They've responded really well. I don't think we've ever had someone come back early and not injure themselves the next week. So let's say he was fully fit. I think him in the current lineup, I'd probably have him in the team over Ollie Hollands. I'd rather him and Carroll in the defensive role than Hollands. And I think Campo right now, based on the evidence we have, is a better winger than Ollie Hollands. Ollie Hollands isn't playing on the wing. So if I wasn't a coward, I would have completely just axed Hollands and had Cowan in his spot. But I was cowardly when I made this team. But no, Boyd is not in my consideration at this stage. In theoretical, Jordan Boyd, I think, is perfect for our team and suiting our needs. But current actual playing a live footballer, Jordan Boyd, hasn't done enough to convince me.
See, the good thing is Hollands would have also worked with keeping that sort of posh English kid's name as well if you added it down the bottom. So it could have worked.
Fogarty Hollands, yeah, that's a great name.
You missed a trick.
Let's pick this goddamn team.
Oh, wait, we've got Nick. Who Nick has killed Bambi.
Just been sitting here patiently.
I just assumed you were first, like always.
No, I've only done that once. I felt very privileged. I felt like a young Lord Fogarty that day. So just the one change, and it was a strategic change for me. Ollie Hollands looks horribly tired and not himself. And I've brought Boyd in just to do one job. If Stengel fires up, I want Boyd in there, just try and harass him and run with him. Small forward, need another good small back. But I just want to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's bringing Mackay back because he's Harry Mackay and dropping Young. And I think look, Mackay hasn't even been Mackay this year. He's had 3 weeks off for personal reasons, and he's come back in and played 10 minutes of football and knocked himself out. And I think if those personal reasons are what we suspect those personal reasons are, that we're not allowed to name them, then what happened a couple of weeks ago is probably going to incite a little bit of his personal reasons again. And I just think, even when he went back and played in the twos and showed his spark, he kicked 2 goals in 5 minutes. If Harry Mackay was Harry Mackay that day, he would have kicked 10. Would have kicked 10 in the reserves. And I'd like to see him get redeveloped and build his confidence through the reserves and just keep out for a couple of weeks, 2 weeks. I think with the role Young played in forward, and by the way, he was played all his junior football as a forward, and the Bulldogs turned him into a backman when they drafted him. And I think I saw a different side of Young that I've never seen before. And he was like an excavator. He was clearing out space. He was tackling players. And I don't think we would have seen the small forwards play quite like they did if it wasn't for Young's tackles, Young's ability to take out a defender that was running with our small forwards, so that the likes of Zach Williams and Will White and all that could have their opportunistic goals. It just looked fantastic. It also cleared a lot of space with Curnow. And I think at the moment, if we bring Harry back too quickly, Harry becomes that focal target and we go back to long bombing, boring football with our delivery in the forward line. I think that our back line is a lot better balanced. It's taken a few weeks for them to sort themselves out. Haynes seems to be making less mistakes. I can't be more impressed with Carroll's delivery by foot. I haven't seen him miss a target yet. And, none of his kicks have been a snap around the corner, high in the sky sort of prayer, women of prayer stuff. Ollie Hollands, get him out of that back line. I think Cottrell sort of elevated himself last week, that I'd give him another opportunity on the wing. For me, it's Akers is sort of on the line, Fogarty's sort of on the line. I still want them in this team against Geelong for the pressure, for the I keep saying Akers is a clutch player. Haven't seen it so far this year, but if it is to be, it'll be against a game like Geelong. But yeah, the only change I'd be making this week would be Boyd. But yeah, just sit him on the bench. Don't start him on the ground, and just see if a little man called Stengel pops up that can tear us apart. That's what he's there for, and solely that. Not sure who takes who takes that run with Dangerfield. If Danger's playing up forward, probably McGovern gets that role if he's not playing on Jeremy Cameron. McGovern's done a fantastic job in the past on Jeremy Cameron, so I'll probably put him there first. But I'd like us to be a little bit less defensive and a bit more attacking. Stop thinking about, okay, we're playing a good side this week. How do we lock them down? That just puts us in a defensive mindset. And I want to keep us attacking. And that team on the park there is an attacking team. Ollie Hollands, he just looks tired, needs a rest. So, yeah, you come. And that's my team.
Mate, I love it. Mate, I love it. Shout out to Andrew as well, who joined. Much love, mate. My question, and this is to you, Nick, chat, and every selector here. When we look at Geelong this year have been very interesting because they are probably the only side in the league that has a very specific plan for key forwards. So if we look at the best key forwards in the league currently, that's Fogarty, Thilthorpe, and Walker, right? Who are on form the best. Fogarty kicked 4, Thilthorpe kicked 1, who genuinely plays the Harry Mackay role. And Tex Walker, who's been playing the Kerno role, kicked 2. So Fogarty was the anomaly. He always is. He's the awkward size. But when you look at teams that have played 2 keys, 4 smalls, Tracy was the only player to kick 1 goal in Fremantle. The other keys kicked none, right? Fremantle, against St Kilda, Isaac Keelaw coming on late, kicked a goal, and that was it. Against Brisbane, Hitwood kicked 1. The other players playing in the keys kicked 0. Melbourne, no, Jacob Van Rooyen kicked 1. The other players that rotated in key forward kicked 0. They have defined plans. So to back, the question is this a game that you are 100% sure that Harry, in the form he's in at the minute, coming off the back of a 12-day concussion and looking at a form as well, personal issues aside, he has looked horrifically out of form. Do we feel like this is a wise game that you throw him to the Wolves to back Nick up here? Is this responsible from the club that you just throw him in, hoping he works brilliant?
I think so. I think he's either not playing any level of footy this week because he's not fit, or he's playing AFL. We've spent an hour and a half talking about how there's essentially no value in our players playing in the VFL, and I don't think he gets it there. I think you're right. Like, he might come in, he might only kick 1 goal. They've got a bunch of tools. They've got Blitzarves, DeConning. They've got what's his name, Dempsey, and you name him. They've got a shitload of players that go back in defence, and Guthrie, not Dempsey, Guthrie to go back in defence. Like, yeah, it's going to be a battle for him, but I don't think he's going to perform any better than Young in those same circumstances.
Yeah. What's that saying? You don't race your thoroughbreds in a race that doesn't mean anything.
Did Will Hayes teach you that one?
No, I've never met the bloke in my life. I've seen him play one game for the club when I was overseas, and I shut my laptop down saying, "Mate, I don't need to see him play AFL anymore."
You see, this is a great point by Issei. Cho and Gunston do, but if you look at their predominant targets, they only play 1 target. So Cho is the main target, and then they're small. Why they're so dangerous is they're the anomaly in the AFL. They don't have a key forward that scares you. Gunston is 193, plays from that 3rd position. They'd rather play Nick Watson at full forward at centre bounce, and Cho works centre half forward. Gunston works in the pocket, whereas Small works. So this kind of proves the question I was asking. When you look at how Geelong usually are outsmarted, it's from a very dynamic forward set. Hawks change their angles more than any side in the competition. Also, Adelaide do, it's why they're dangerous forward. But you could see they had a plan for Thilthorpe. So when they knew the major outlet was Thilthorpe, Geelong focused on that area. And predominantly, over the last 3 years, Carlton, Mackay and Kerno, when they play, make up 88.2% of all Carlton's targets inside 50. So if I know that, what do you think Chris Scott's doing right now?
Yep. And that's the scary thing. We upset what we've done. I mean, our defence. I looked at our points against. I think we're third on the ladder for points against. So our defence is actually doing a better job than we think. And what hasn't clicked is our forward line. And I think with Mackay in the way he's been playing and Curnow, and they become the sole targets again, completely upsets you. We had 12 goal kickers last week. It was fantastic. And it was against North, but it was a different system.
You know what, Matt? This isn't a stupid idea. Me and Terry, I don't know if you've hacked our phone. I actually said to Terry, this would be the only game in the world I wouldn't hate seeing a tall player as sub as the protection. If that's Harry or Lewis, if it doesn't work, you can change it. If it does work, like, does anyone else feel like, before we go on to the team selection, why Lewis Young was so good, albeit against a shit team, is I feel like no one's talking about the last 2 weeks our Smalls have kicked goals because we've used a full forward traditionally to spread an opposition's defence. Harry and Charlie like to run up the ground, which clears out inside 50. Do we feel like Harry could do that role? Because it's never happened, is my issue. We've never seen Harry be told, stay at full forward, never move.
I mean, I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
That's where I want it.
I think you bring him in this week because he's Harry Mackay, and again, with all due respect to Lewis, he's a much more capable player than Lewis is. But you tell him, and it's like, this is going to help you, and it's going to help the team. So see the 50-meter arc. Beyond the 50-meter arc is lava, and unless we tell you, you break free and step into the lava zone to take a contested mark and then pound back to goal, that's what you need to do. It's going to help you get into it and build your confidence, and it's going to help us continue what we're doing and being a great team. Henry V. Pito is going to be playing VFL this week, so he will not be a late in.
I owe you a beer as well, Jono.
You do owe me a beer. Thank you very much.
Where's my beer?
I'd agree on that comment. Harry at full strength would be the man you want in the goal square. But I just question, is Harry going to be at full strength? Does he need time? I think he needs time. I just have a gut feeling he needs time. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong if he comes in. I hope he kicks it back. I hope he kicks down.
Well, I've pulled up the last 8 games, an overview of the last 8 games against Geelong, and the only player who kicks multiple goals for us is Charlie Curnow. Our second best goal kicker in that period is Alex Chincotta, followed by Mark Murphy. So historically, it's been Charlie Curnow or bust.
Get Murph out of the ABC box for one last radio against the Cats.
Well, you know what, chat? We've gone because I had a pom rant about VFL, but you've all stayed 1 hour, 30 minutes, and we're now on the team. So I apologise to everyone for having a rant about development. It's just VFL is something very passionate about for me. But here we are. We are at the team selection. We'll start with Nick Backman. Chat, start firing in your back 6.
Matty Carroll.
Bang.
Mate, he has been sensational this year. Absolute sensational. Mr. Lack.
I'll take Mitch McGovern, who probably play on Patrick Dangerfield.
Mr. Jono.
I'll take the sausage.
Arr, arr, arr. Do you want him fullback or centre halfback?
Oh, well, might as well have one Silvani being at the MCG this weekend. So put him at fullback and let Waiters take 15 intercept marks this week.
Mate, I love it. Mr. Ian.
It feels like he's slowly becoming my man, Nick Haynes.
Mate, you were there for Nick Haynes when no one was.
Now look at him. No one's dropping him.
Look at him. Yep. He's now a slightly below
Stand
average.
corrected.
Mate,
Until next week.
Mate, I've seen so many people with his number. Chat, we need a half-back flanker. So here's your options, because you've all thrown in your comments, but the boys have saved them. I saved Wheater in, so you've got Akers, Ben Camporelli, Boyd, Shearer, Cottrell, Cripps, Kerno, Durden, Elijah, Fogarty, Hewitt, Camporelli, Ollie Hollins, Motlop, Mackay, Lord, Sard, TDK, Walsh, White, Williams, and Young.
That's a lot
You know
of,
what,
That's
actually,
a lot of
Matt?
reading to pick Adam Sard.
You know what, Matt? You know what? I don't mind this. When you asked the question earlier, I wouldn't mind, just because of the way Danger moves, I wouldn't mind Akers being forced on Danger, because you find he crops up high wing, which is defensive wing, if the opposite. I wouldn't mind it. But Adam Sard, la 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 la, he's saved. Right, midfielders. Mr. Nick.
I'm going to go with Shearer.
Chesney. Would it be fair to say Chesney, if we did the BNF, would probably be second?
No, I reckon Tom's ahead of him just.
Don't know about that.
Sloss as well.
Tom stopped getting votes when he decided to leave, so Cherry's probably second.
But St Kilda aren't sexy anymore. They've lost a couple of games and Carlton's won a game, so it's not worth talking about.
AFL are putting out articles about us watching Darcy Cameron. It doesn't fill me with confidence. Anyway.
I reckon Darcy Cameron will stay at Collingwood, bookmark it.
Bit old.
John,
whose pick is it, Tommy?
John,
Me?
10K, I'd play for fucking Dandenong in Div 12.
I would come
Mr.
and watch you play, Tommy.
Hey, mate, I appreciate it. Like, dog, you need a midfielder, mate.
Hewitt.
The winner of the BNF.
Yeah, everyone's playing for second.
Mr. Jono.
Charles Brownlow, Patrick Cripps.
You know an interesting fact about George
He
Hewitt?
legally changed his name to that, by the way.
He should do as well. You know George Hewitt's attacking numbers? There's only one player that is ahead of him, and it's like by 0.2 across them, is Mr. Nick Dacos. That's actually insane. People forget about how good his attacking game has been this year.
Oh, it's been fantastic.
Mate, I've said it for years. George Hewitt is basically your team Nick Dacos. So, yeah, Mr. Ian, I need a midfielder on the right.
Calling him Gorgeous George.
Boy, George.
I am going Matty Cottrell on a wing, please.
Good to see him. I like a bit of Cottrell. I am going to... only because he's basically Jack Noon's 2.0. I'm saving Akers. Chat. I need a ruckman. You're throwing in Walsh. I need a ruckman. I can put Walsh ruck if you want.
People are speaking.
Guys,
I want it
Walsh.
Motlop. To be fair, I reckon it won't be long until one day you see him be there. You know what? Look, the chat are trying. Look, the usual likes trying. Goldster, hey mate, it wouldn't be bad. Okay, looks like TDK's done it. Well done, chat. You're very mature.
Technically Motlop won, but I think let's go with
that's TDK though. So by my count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus 4 Motlops.
Sorry, we're a K and T together on the keyboard. How are you getting TDK off that?
Well, Sket's not autocorrect. That means that it's gone through.
No, but if you were doing that on your phone, that wouldn't be too far off, would it? If you were using alphabet keyboard.
Look at a keyboard, Pommy.
No, if you're using alphabet keyboard. Using alphabet keyboard.
Who has an alphabet keyboard? Bloody Android users.
Yeah, I don't fucking know, do I? Do you know what I mean? Like, but I'm just trying to... I don't know. I'm just trying to get help Paul out. You just picked on him, and I'm just trying. I'm there trying to help him out. I'm helping to. You never know. He might be 8 beers deep.
Oh, Paul. Never mind. You're a great bloke. we're picking on the Poms here because they clearly have a different alphabet to us.
We need forwards now. Who are you going with, Nick?
King DeConing. I like it. I'm going to be really controversial and bring in my man Lewis Young.
You fucking prick.
Lewis Young. I love it. Mr. Lack.
Corey Durden.
You know what? Just quietly, he's having a very good season. I don't think it's getting enough attention.
He's averaging 95 Supercoach points.
You know what?
Durden.
Dog, you agree with me with this as a content creator? How fucking annoying is it that all you heard in the off season is we're doomed, we lost Matt Owis, and Durden's absolutely killing it, and no one's saying, I'm glad we've got Durden over Owis.
We've talked about Matt Owis a lot on this show, Pom.
Yeah, I just feel sorry for him. Like,
his name again.
Yeah, I just feel sorry for him. Like, where are these people now? Mr. Jono, a forward.
Will White.
His name rhymes with shite, but he certainly isn't. And Mr. Ian.
I'm going to chuck Sammy Walsh on the half-forward line.
Ooh, suits you, sir.
Make it interesting on that bench.
You know what? King Charles, I'll put in there. Chat, we need another forward. You've got Ben Camporelli, Boyd, Lidge, Fogarty, Camporelli, the other one, Lord, Mackay, Motlop, Ollie, Williams. Foggy, getting a bit of love. I read that as cum deconing, because I've got a migraine at the minute, so I've got a sphere over my left eye. So, you know what I mean? So that's quality. Lidge, Motlop. I'm guessing you said cum deconing. Williams, Motlop, Pomerelli, Fogarty, Williams. It looks like Williams has won.
Yeah. Flip a coin. I think they're both the same, but
I'll put Williams in because I've got to protect my brethren. Okay, we are on the bench, Mr. Nick.
Motlop.
Another player who's played quite
Go
well.
in the centre and dominate. Kicked 3 goals in the last quarter.
Right, I love it. Mr. Leck.
I would like Lucas to be in this team.
Oh, you are a selector, that dog. You can do what you want, mate.
By the way, I'm happy, not that he's not in the team, but I'm happy that none of us picked Doherty when he didn't play any football after being admitted. I'm very happy with this.
Well, you're going to have a nice surprise Thursday night, aren't you? Do you know what I mean?
That's why I'm getting in now, Pommy.
I can't wait to that text 5 minutes past 6:30 of Lackdog blowing my inbox up. Mr. Jono, who are we saving?
I reckon you'll see him on Thursday night just as part of the extended bench, though. I'm picking Elijah Hollins.
Damn it.
Lidgy. I like it.
I have no idea who to pick now. This is horrific. It's like all my picks have been taken in the draft and I'm ended up with Lockie O'Brien or something. This is horrific. What can we do here?
Go
Rogue. There was still
Rogue.
plenty of picks left on the board where we took Lockie O'Brien.
Yeah, I know. That was the issue. Jeez, maybe he just panicked. He didn't write anyone else down. Look, everyone has not been happy with him, but I'm gonna pick Ollie Hollins for now. I don't know. It's him or Boyd, and I'm not sure about Boydie.
Jeez, big call, Pom.
Oh, it's easy. It's
Benjamin.
easy. Lord.
Our Lord and Saviour.
It's easy. That was a no-brainer for me. I like it. Chat. There is the team we've got. Do you know what I mean? So Fogarty, he makes way, but the team, as it stands, Haynes, JSOS, McGovern, Sard, Wheaton and Carroll, Akers, Cripps, Cottrell, White, Kerno, Walsh, Williams, Young, Durden, TDK, Cherry, Hewitt, Motlop, Elijah, Ollie and Lord, and Lucas Camparelli coming in as the extra this week. I don't mind, to be honest, even though that's pretty much my team, minus Ollie stays, I don't mind it. Like, I am team against Mackay coming in. I just genuinely worry after 12 days if something goes wrong.
Yeah, I just think if he's going to get concussed, he's going to get concussed. I mean,
I'm more worried about the confidence. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like a lot of expectation. Already I've seen in the comments you've got to play Mackay if you want to win. There's the problem. But we know, Gav, honestly, I'm telling you now, you've named the extended bench. That is the text Leckdog sends me. What the fuck is that team? Doc, Mackay and Peter Win. That is the text he sends me about 5 minutes past the team's announced. But, chat, thank you very much for an extended one. Before we go, Nick, if everyone heads on the internet now and they go, I'm going to scroll on Instagram, the first thing they'll probably see will be a load of chicks at the gym, because that's all I ever get on the sponsored content at the minute. I don't know why. But once they get through that plethora and they find Horizon Finance Group on Instagram, if they slid into your DMs and went, oh, Nick, I watch your shit with Pommy, I absolutely love you, what will you do for them?
I'm happy to do anything that they request within reason. But if they are after a loan, I can certainly help with that. If they are looking, I'm hiring at the moment. So if you feel you've got what it takes to sell some finance and you might be a gun salesperson, I'm interested to talk to you. That could work out pretty financially rewarding. But if you want advice, just talk shit about Carlton, about finance, about getting loans, about credit files, whatever it may be. I'm here for the Carlton team. So feel free to treat me as a friend and ask me whatever you want. I'll respond.
You have no idea how dangerous saying that on the internet is, but fair play to you, mate. I've got a lot of respect for it. I love it. But no, make sure go and see him. If you are looking for work, do you know what I mean? And Pom knows you. I'll put in a special word as well, because obviously times are hard at the minute. Jobs are hard to come by. I can vouch for Nick as an excellent human being as well. So he'll look after you. He'll be a good boss. Good boss. But Leckdog, in your life at the minute, you retired this time last year from this game. You now make more content than I've ever seen you. If everyone goes and follows your ex, what can you be treating them to this year?
Yeah, I'm back on X. I'm actually might be doing an internal podcast at work as well soon. So, oh, mate, look, I've got a YouTube channel. I haven't been doing anything, and I won't be doing anything, but I've made this thing today. This is a little display board I'm going to be using for a competition. I make hobby shit and models, and I'm hanging out, and I tweet about footy, and I'm talking super coach, and yeah, I'm around.
You've really sold that. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ. Yeah, follow me. I'm around.
I think I've got 5,000 followers now, so come and have a look. Oh, no, I've had a few unfollow me. Get me back to 5,000, folks.
Oh, dear. You know, Ian, if the boys and girls of this wonderful chat went to Navy Blue Corner, what can they expect from you this week? Because I know you've had a bit of a calamity with technology this week, so they'll get a double header, don't they?
Yeah, it's been a bit of fun. I mean, it's hard to follow Leckdog after that one. But look, if you want to hear me talk a little bit about Carlton and the North game, I had the pleasure of being on the Blue Abroad Monday show with Terry, so that was a bit of fun. And then, tried to record my own preview. Their file completely shat the bed and just corrupt itself, and couldn't re-record anything until tonight. But the good news is it was a solo pod. Lockie is available, so it is now back to regular programming, so you don't just have to hear me for an hour and a half talking nonsense. As soon as this show ends, I'll be editing that one. The file works, and that'll be up tomorrow morning. So bit of a review preview, which should be a lot of fun. Navy Blue Corner is where you find it.
Preview. I like that. I like that. Hey, mate, I like that. That's quite good, that. Impressive. Impressive. I like it. Well, that leaves one of us, the Gardner stand, John O'Baruch. So if the guys and girls go in this, right, and all they've got to do is click one little thing, enter their email address, what wonderful content will they get? Freed and paid. Free and paid. There's no D in free.
Yeah, you're right. There is no free. Oh,
there can be.
They can be freed if they want to be freed. No, but there is plenty actually happening this week. We didn't manage to get out a review last week, but we got out a review this week on the wins over West Coast and North Melbourne. A couple of weeks of nourishment. Was it real? Is it a ruse? We'll wait and see. So that's up on the channel live. We released today the first installment of our quarterly reviews for the players. So you can access that, and it's literally just one line on each player on the list so far this year and what they've been up to and setting some expectations moving forward. We'll have a preview of the Geelong game, hopefully coming out on either Saturday or Sunday. And before that, we've got a bit of a special treat coming. The wonderful Chloe Williams has done a bit of a feature, so keep that going. And that will come up very, very soon on the Gardner stand. But as you said, Pom, you click on the link, you plug in your email address, it gets delivered straight to your inbox. What more could you want? It's that easy. To those who are a part of it, we have over 150 subscribers now, which is unbelievable in our first few months. So thank you so much to the entire community. It's been unreal to have all your support, and onwards and upwards from here.
So if you're going to be doing one line every 6 rounds, I'm guessing you won't get the end of the season, because obviously the AFL free strikes policy says if you do it a 4th time, you're banned.
Yes, we work in 6-week blocks for the one-liners. So one here, one mid-year, one round 18, and one post-finals, and then one at the end of it all. One pre-finals and then one at the end of the end of it all, and we'll run the flag.
I do my best work at the end of the show and it goes unnoticed. So make sure you go and head on over there, chat. If you don't, make sure you head up on all of them. After this show, it should go in the next 5 minutes. You've got the VFL review. Tomorrow we've got the tipping video, and we are live for Melbourne Richmond. So it'll be a good game because I picked that one to go live for. Other than that, loads of content. Thank you very much. It was my 5-year anniversary yesterday on here. So never thought we'd be near 8K, and we're very near 8K. We've gained 2K in nearly the start of the season. So thank you very much, everyone. We'll be back next week. Peace, love, and light. Bye.
See you guys. Go the Blues.